Sleep is one of the most powerful and underappreciated tools for altering gene expression in ways that directly improve health and performance. When you sleep, your body is not simply resting, it is actively engaging in a complex series of biological processes that regulate which genes are turned on and which are suppressed. This process plays a central role in everything from brain function and memory to immune strength and metabolic health. During deep sleep, particularly slow-wave sleep, genes responsible for cellular repair and recovery become highly active. Proteins that fix damaged DNA, restore tissues, and remove metabolic waste are produced in greater amounts. At the same time, genes associated with inflammation are downregulated, meaning their activity is reduced. This balance is critical because chronic inflammation is linked to many diseases, including cardiovascular issues, diabetes, and cognitive decline. When sleep is insufficient or fragmented, this balance shifts in the wrong direction, increasing the expression of inflammatory genes and weakening the body's ability to recover. Sleep also has a profound effect on the brain. Genes involved in neuroplasticity, which is the brain's ability to adapt, learn, and form new connections, are strongly influenced by sleep quality. During certain stages of sleep, especially REM sleep, the brain replays and consolidates information learned during the day. This strengthens neural circuits and enhances memory retention. Poor sleep disrupts this process, reducing the expression of genes that support learning and increasing mental fatigue, slower reaction times, and decreased focus. Hormonal regulation is another major pathway through which sleep alters gene expression. Sleep influences genes that control the release of key hormones like cortisol, growth hormone, and insulin. Growth hormone, which is essential for muscle repair and recovery, is primarily released during deep sleep. If sleep is cut short, the genes that regulate this hormone are not properly activated, which can impair physical recovery and muscle development. At the same time, lack of sleep increases cortisol levels by activating stress-related genes, leading to a state of chronic stress that negatively impacts both mental and physical performance. Metabolism is also tightly linked to sleep-driven gene expression. Genes that regulate glucose processing, appetite, and energy use follow a circadian rhythm that is synchronized by consistent sleep patterns. When sleep is irregular or insufficient, these genes become dysregulated, increasing the risk of insulin resistance, weight gain, and reduced energy levels. This is one reason why people who consistently sleep poorly often struggle with maintaining a healthy body composition and stable energy throughout the day. The timing and consistency of sleep are just as important as duration. Going to bed and waking up at the same time each day reinforces the body's internal clock, which controls the timing of gene expression across multiple systems. Exposure to bright light late at night, especially from screens, can interfere with this process by suppressing melatonin, a hormone that signals the body to prepare for sleep. This disruption alters the expression of circadian genes, leading to poorer sleep quality and reduced recovery. Exercise is one of the most direct and powerful ways to influence gene expression in both the short and long term. When you engage in physical activity, your muscles, brain, and other systems send signals that activate specific genetic pathways with performance, recovery, and overall health. This process begins almost immediately, with even a single workout capable of turning on genes that improve energy production, circulation, and cellular repair. One of the primary effects of exercise is on genes related to mitochondrial function. Mitochondria are the energy-producing structures that your cells, and their efficiency determines how well your body can generate and use energy. Aerobic exercise, such as running, cycling, or brisk walking, increases the expression of genes that promote the growth and amylase of mitochondria. Over time, this leads to greater endurance, reduced fatigue, and improved metabolic health. Essentially, your body becomes better at converting oxygen and nutrients into usable energy. Resistance training, on the other hand, activates genes associated with muscle growth and strength. When you lift weights or perform bodyweight exercises, you create small amounts of stress and micro damage in muscle fibers. This triggers genetic pathways that increase protein synthesis, allowing the muscles to repair and grow stronger. Key genes involved in muscle hypertrophy become more active, leading to increases in muscle size, acuity, and resilience. This is not just about appearance. Stronger muscles also support joint health, improve posture, and enhance overall physical performance. Exercise also has a significant impact on brain-related gene expression. Physical activity increases the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, often referred to as BDNF. This protein plays a crucial role in supporting the growth and survival of neurons. Genes that regulate BDNF become more active during and after exercise, leading to improved learning, memory, and cognitive flexibility. This is one reason why regular movement is strongly linked to better mental clarity and reduced risk of neurodegenerative diseases. Another important aspect is how exercise influences genes with inflammation and immune function. Regular physical activity helps downregulate inflammatory genes while upregulating those that support immune. This creates a more balanced internal environment, reducing the risk of chronic diseases and improving recovery from illness or injury. However, it's important to note that excessive or poorly managed training without adequate recovery can have the opposite effect, temporarily increasing inflammatory gene expression. The type, intensity, and frequency of exercise all shape how these genetic pathways are activated. High-intensity efforts can trigger rapid adaptations in and metabolic function, while lower-intensity, longer-duration activities are more effective for building endurance and cardiovascular health. Combining different forms of exercise provides a broader range of genetic benefits, ensuring that multiple systems in the body are optimized. Consistency is the key factor that determines long-term changes in gene expression. While a single workout can produce temporary effects, repeated exposure to physical activity reinforces these genetic signals, leading to lasting adaptations. Over time, your body essentially reprograms itself to become stronger, more efficient, and more resilient, all through the ongoing interaction between exercise and your genes. Nutrition plays a central role in shaping gene expression because the molecules you consume act as signals that interact directly with your DNA and cellular machinery. Every meal delivers information to your body that influences which genes are activated and which are suppressed. This means that food is not just a source of energy. It is a powerful regulator of biological processes that determine your health, performance, and longevity. Certain nutrients have the ability to activate genes associated with cellular repair and protection. For example, foods rich in antioxidants and polyphenols, such as berries, leafy greens, and green tea, can stimulate pathways that reduce oxidative stress and support DNA stability. These compounds influence transcription factors that control how genes are expressed, helping to protect cells from damage and improve overall resilience. Over time, this can lower the risk of chronic diseases and support better recovery from physical and mental stress. Protein intake is particularly important for activating genes involved in muscle maintenance and growth. Amino acids, especially leucine, act as signals that trigger pathways responsible for protein synthesis. This is critical not only for building muscle, but also for preserving it as you age. Adequate protein consumption ensures that genes with tissue repair and metabolic function remain active, which supports strength, mobility, and overall physical performance. On the other hand, diets high in refined sugars and ultra-processed foods can have negative effects on gene expression. These foods tend to activate genes linked to inflammation, insulin resistance, and fat storage. Frequent spikes in blood sugar lead to repeated activation of these pathways, which over time can disrupt metabolic health and increase the risk of conditions such as obesity and type 2 diabetes. This highlights how consistent dietary patterns, rather than occasional choices, shape your genetic activity. The timing of food intake also interacts with your circadian biology, which controls daily rhythms in gene expression. Your body is more efficient at processing nutrients during the earlier part of the day when metabolic genes are more active. Eating late at night can misalign these rhythms, leading to poorer glucose regulation and reduced energy efficiency. Aligning meals with your natural biological clock helps reinforce healthy gene expression patterns with metabolism and hormone balance. Micronutrients, including vitamins and minerals, also play a crucial role in regulating gene activity. Many of these nutrients act as cofactors for enzymes involved in DNA repair and gene regulation. For instance, vitamins like B complex and minerals such as magnesium support processes that maintain genomic stability and proper cellular function. Deficiencies in these nutrients can impair these systems, leading to suboptimal gene expression and reduced overall performance. Hydration and overall dietary balance further influence how effectively these genetic pathways function. Proper fluid intake supports cellular processes and nutrient transport, ensuring that the signals from food can be accurately delivered and utilized. A balanced diet that includes a variety of whole foods provides a wide range of compounds that collectively support optimal gene expression, allowing the body to adapt, recover, and perform at a higher level. Light exposure is one of the most powerful and often overlooked regulators of gene expression because it directly controls your circadian rhythm, which is the internal clock governing nearly every biological process in your body. This clock operates on a roughly 24-hour cycle and coordinates the timing of gene activity across systems related to sleep, metabolism, hormone release, and cognitive performance. When your light environment is aligned with natural day and night patterns, your genes are expressed in a way that supports optimal health and efficiency. In the morning, exposure to natural sunlight triggers a cascade of signals starting in the retina of the eyes. Specialized cells detect light and send information to the brain's central clock, known as the suprachiasmatic nucleus. This signal leads to the activation of genes that promote wakefulness, alertness, and energy production. Cortisol levels rise in a controlled way, helping you feel awake and focused, while genes associated with metabolism become more active, preparing your body to efficiently use nutrients throughout the day. This early light exposure essentially sets the timing for gene expression across your entire system. As the day progresses, continued exposure to natural light helps maintain this alignment, supporting stable energy levels and consistent cognitive performance. The intensity and spectrum of daylight reinforce the proper functioning of circadian genes, ensuring that different biological processes occur at the right time. For example, genes involved in digestion and physical performance are more active during daylight hours, which is why your body tends to handle food and exercise more efficiently during the day compared to late at night. In the evening, the absence of bright light becomes just as important as its presence in the morning. As light levels decrease, your body begins to activate genes with rest, recovery, and repair. Melatonin production increases, signaling that it is time to prepare for sleep. This hormone not only helps you fall asleep, but also influences genes involved in immune function and cellular restoration. However, exposure to artificial light, particularly blue light from screens, can disrupt this process by suppressing melatonin and altering the expression of circadian genes. This leads to delayed sleep, reduced sleep quality, and impaired recovery. Disruptions in light exposure patterns can have widespread effects on gene expression. Irregular sleep schedules, shift work, or excessive nighttime light can desynchronize your internal clock, causing genes to be expressed at inappropriate times. This misalignment has been linked to issues such as metabolic dysfunction, decreased cognitive performance, mood disturbances, and increased inflammation. Essentially, when your light environment is inconsistent, your biology becomes confused and the efficiency of your declines. Managing light exposure is therefore a highly effective way to optimize gene expression without relying on complex interventions. Getting sunlight within the first hour of waking, spending time outdoors during the day, and reducing exposure to bright artificial light in the evening can significantly improve circadian alignment. Even small adjustments like dimming indoor lights at night or avoiding screens before bed can help restore natural gene expression patterns that support better sleep, energy, and overall performance. Stress is a powerful driver of gene expression, capable of shaping your biology in both beneficial and harmful ways depending on its intensity and duration. When you experience stress, your body activates a coordinated response through the nervous system and endocrine system, leading to the release of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. These signals interact directly with your DNA, turning on genes that prepare you to deal with immediate challenges by increasing alertness, focus, and physical readiness. In the short term, this response is highly adaptive. Acute stress activates genes that enhance energy availability, sharpen cognitive function, and improve reaction time. This is useful for situations that require quick thinking or physical performance. The beta essentially shifts into a high-performance state where resources are redirected toward survival and action. Once the stressor passes, the system is designed to return to baseline, allowing recovery processes to take over. The problem arises when stress becomes chronic. Ongoing psychological or physical stress keeps these genetic pathways continuously active, leading to long-term changes in how genes are expressed. Instead of occasional activation, genes morbid with inflammation, cortisol production, and cellular wear remain switched on. This can suppress genes involved in immune defense, tissue repair, and brain plasticity. Over time, this imbalance contributes to fatigue, weakened immunity, reduced cognitive performance, and increased risk of chronic disease. Chronic stress also affects the brain at the genetic level. Prolonged activation of stress-related genes can reduce the expression of those responsible for neuroplasticity, particularly in areas like the hippocampus, which is critical for learning and memory. This can lead to difficulties in concentration, memory retention, and emotional regulation. At the same time, stress can strengthen neural pathways associated with fear and anxiety, reinforcing negative patterns of thinking and behavior. Another important aspect is how stress interacts with inflammation. Persistent stress signals can increase the activity of genes that promote inflammatory responses. While inflammation is a natural and necessary part of the body's defense system, excessive or prolonged inflammation can damage tissues and disrupt normal function. This is one of the key mechanisms linking stress to conditions such as cardiovascular disease, metabolic disorders, and mental health challenges. Managing stress effectively can reverse many of these negative effects on gene expression. Techniques such as controlled breathing, meditation, and mindfulness practices help shift the nervous system from a sympathetic fight or flight state to a parasympathetic rest and recover state. This shift reduces the activation of stress-related genes and promotes the expression of those involved in repair, recovery, and balance. Physical activity also plays a role in regulating stress, as it helps metabolize stress hormones and reset the body's baseline state. Social connection and a sense of safety further influence how stress impacts gene expression. Positive interactions and supportive environments can buffer the effects of stress by reducing the intensity and duration of the stress response. This highlights that stress is not just about external pressures, but also about how your brain perceives and processes those experiences at a biological level. Deliberate exposure to environmental stressors such as cold and heat is a powerful way to influence gene expression and build resilience at the cellular level. These stressors work through a concept known as hormesis, which refers to the beneficial effects that occur when the body is exposed to mild, controlled stress. Instead of causing damage, these exposures activate protective genes that strengthen the body's ability to handle future challenges. Cold exposure, such as cold showers or ice baths, triggers a rapid activation of genes involved in metabolism and energy regulation. When your body is exposed to cold, it must generate heat to maintain a stable internal temperature. This process activates brown adipose tissue, a type of fat that burns calories to produce heat. Genes associated with mitochondrial activity and fat metabolism become more active, leading to improved energy efficiency and increased calorie expenditure. Over time, regular cold exposure can enhance metabolic flexibility, allowing your body to switch more effectively between burning carbohydrates and fats. In addition to metabolic effects, cold exposure also influences the nervous system and mental resilience. It increases the release of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter that enhances focus, attention, and mood. This is accompanied by changes in gene expression that support neural function and stress adaptation. Repeated exposure teaches the body and brain to remain calm under stress, reducing the overall sensitivity to future stressors and improving emotional regulation. Heat exposure, such as sauna use, activates a different but equally important set of genetic pathways. One of the primary effects is the increased production of heat shock proteins. These proteins play a critical role in maintaining cellular integrity by repairing damaged proteins and preventing the accumulation of dysfunctional molecules. Genes responsible for producing heat shock proteins become more active during heat exposure, leading to improved cellular repair and protection against stress. Heat exposure also has benefits for cardiovascular health. The increase in body temperature causes blood vessels to dilate, improving circulation and delivering more oxygen and nutrients to tissues. This process activates genes with vascular function and endurance, similar to some of the effects of aerobic exercise. Regular sauna use has been associated with improved heart health, partly due to these gene expression changes. Another important aspect of environmental stressors is their effect on recovery and inflammation. Both cold and heat, when used appropriately, can help regulate inflammatory pathways. Cold exposure can reduce acute inflammation and soreness after intense physical activity, while heat can promote relaxation and recovery by increasing blood flow and activating repair mechanisms. These opposing but complementary effects allow for a more balanced approach to managing physical stress. The key to benefiting from these stressors lies in proper dosing and consistency. Excessive exposure can overwhelm the system and lead to negative effects, while short, controlled sessions provide the optimal stimulus for positive gene expression. By regularly exposing yourself to mild environmental challenges, you send signals that encourage your body to adapt, repair, and become more resilient at a fundamental biological level. When these environmental stressors are combined with consistent sleep, proper nutrition, regular exercise, balanced light exposure, and effective stress management, they create a powerful synergy that shapes gene expression in a highly beneficial way. Over time, these small but deliberate actions send repeated signals to your body, reinforcing pathways mertabit with resilience, recovery, and high performance. What emerges is not just short-term improvement, but a long-term shift in how your body operates at the genetic level, allowing you to function with greater energy, stability, and adaptability in both physical and mental domains.